Welcome viewers, welcome to this NPTEL course on education leadership. So, in the last class we are discussing about the current scenario in higher education, and in that context we are discussing about there are some of the features in the education sector, like the decreasing funding, state funding, and how business houses they have started investing in education sector. Now, education has become a industry, has become an industry, and there is more that is the more commercial values of education in terms of degrees, profit, commodification of knowledge and its marketing, etc., etc. So, today we will discuss as a result of that, a new trend of entrepreneurship has also emerged in the education, and education has become a, you can say, knowledge industry. The entrepreneurs have started their new ventures like and they have introduced the new vocabularies, like the students are the customers, guardians are the stakeholders, intellectual capital, copyright, intellectual property, outsourcing of knowledge, knowledge management, all these kinds of business language, business vocabularies have come up in the knowledge industry or in the education sector, and a new range of income generating ventures also have come up, like private colleges, technical and vocational institutes, mushrooming engineering colleges, mushrooming management schools, and with much higher risk profile, like the lower quality and high escalating fees. Also, with all these private institutions and mushrooming colleges and the schools, so they are not properly maintaining the quality of education and high capitation fees. Some of the fake universities are coming up in terms of providing the degrees, and more commercialization of the research and teaching. So, all these features have emerged as a result of that. So, this in turn has encouraged a wide range of risk management and the quality control. With the mushrooming colleges, engineering colleges, technical colleges, institutes and management schools also. So, the quality, as the quality has been diluted and fake universities, fake degrees are coming up. So, ultimately to control this and monitor this also, the government has also introduced different kinds of regulations or the auditing mechanism to maintain the quality, control the quality and manage the risks in terms of maintaining the quality education. But the question is, to what extent these have been effective in controlling and monitoring the quality. Due to escalating fees in developed nations, like in US and UK, etc., getting the higher education is highly expensive and everybody cannot afford to have it. But again, people's expectations, youth expectations have increased, so they want to have the higher academic degrees. So, as a result of this huge capitation fees and admission fees, etc., so more and more people from the developed countries are moving towards the developing countries or more of the Asian countries through to get the degrees through various online courses, e-learning packages, etc. So, at the cheaper end of the international student market, similarly online learning providers are also making some significant incursions. So, like so many online providers, they are providing different kinds of degrees and customized courses in different fields of profession, technical field, etc. They have become the academic or educational entrepreneurs nowadays. So, across the world, higher education systems systems are being reshaped with a greater competition among the established institutions. So, as the more and more online providers, e-learning courses have come up, so there is a greater competition also among the established institutions in the growth of the new providers, including some of the providers including non-profit and providers. Some of the providers are also proprietary providers, new open universities, and the growing distance education e-learning platforms have also come up. So, this the new millennial generation of higher education students is having the diverse and different expectations. Again, with the emerging new educational institution, new online courses, open sources of learning, online learning providers, knowledge industry, academic business the educational entrepreneurs, etc., etc. The students' expectations have also increased, and their needs and expectations have become very more diverse in comparison to the older generation students. Now, let us discuss about the characteristics of this new generation learners. What are their characteristics. Now, these new generation learners they are hesitant to engage in the long term planning. So, these youngsters they are very, they are in a hurry, they are in a hurry to grab some of the professional degrees and the courses and etc., but they are hesitant to engage themselves in any kind of long term planning, but rather they stick to the short term planning and immediate goal achievement and immediate job, etc., immediate goal and immediate benefits of their education with doing all kinds of short term courses, professional courses, etc. They do not give much importance to the notion of standards of achievement. That means they don't mind to dilute the quality, or they don't give more attention to have a high quality education, etc. Rather they give more importance to just to get passed in a subject, or whatever they submit, it should be they should be passed, and irrespective of the quality and the standard of achievement, the notion of standard of achievement is very low, and they want to compromise it. They don't want to stick to the quality, high quality of academic standard. So, they are likely to have different attitudes to the web based plagiarism and etc. Nowadays, this generation of students, they don't mind doing all kinds of hacking, all kinds of plagiarism, all kinds of copying the copy paste of the knowledge, etc. So, they have different attitudes, they don't mind. So, here comes your so far as the ethics and the values of academic entrepreneurship stands. So, they don't stick to that guidelines, etc. They don't prefer to stick to that guidelines and values, and they expect everything to be readily available and not as the self reliant as the previous generations. So, because it has become more a kind of cafeteria approach to get the offers immediately. So, they expect that everything should be provided to them immediately, instantly, with less hassles, and they don't want to be committed to that. They are not self reliant, unlike the previous generations. They don't, that means they don't want to spend time, quality time or effort to achieve a higher level of academic quality. Rather, they just want to have the degrees and pass somehow to pass the professional courses, have the certificates, etc., and quickly get into the job. That is their priority. So, and again, moreover, they also use the peer group as the reference point. So, for any kind of higher studies, for any kind of academic decisions, they stick to their peer group for the reference, where to enroll, where to get the admission, which university to go, which subject to take. So, they mostly consult with their peers. So, the question is how to cater to the needs of this present generation of techno-savvy learners and equip them for the job market. So, the strengths of the present generation learners are that they are very techno-savvy and they are very techno-savvy. So, and their expectations and needs are different. The biggest challenge for the educationists are there, like how to cater to the needs of this present generations who are very techno-savvy learners, but at the same time they don't have the long term goals, they are not self reliant, they don't stick to a course for a long time, and but how to prepare them for the job market, that is the biggest challenge. So, with the dramatic increase in the participation rate, privatization of the educational ventures through entrepreneurship, and the government assigning the status of deemed university, autonomous colleges, etc., doubt arises regarding the standard or quality of education. With the large demand of higher education, so many private universities, government universities, many schools, management school, vocational institutions have come up. But the thing is that how to, so as a result of that, government has also assigned the different kinds of labels like these. Some of the universities are deemed university, autonomous bodies, etc. But what about the quality? But how to maintain the standard and quality of the education, as well as the uniformity of the curricula, pedagogy, and all across the country. We have the n number of educational institutions, autonomous bodies, etc. Similarly, our course curricula, pedagogy are not uniform discipline wise across the country. So, different types of institutions are having different objectives with interdisciplinary research, teaching, service, and financial gain. So, government institutions, they are having their different vision, mission, its values. Private universities, they are having their own vision, mission, and values, goals. So, our institution, all types of educational institutions, they vary in terms of their not only in terms of their curricula, pedagogy, etc., but in terms of their interdisciplinary research also, because sometimes they focus on some specific research areas because they can get the easy funding from the different sources, like, and some of the research topics, some of the researches. So their priorities has become that how to conduct the interdisciplinary research in specific areas. Similarly, teaching also, in terms of teaching and the then how to, that means how to hire the faculty or the teacher with the minimum pay salary package. So that is, they also compromise in terms of service also, and and they give more importance to the financial gain, the profit, and how to generate more and more financial resources. So the institutions vary enormously, and they have become very diverse in not only in terms of research, pedagogy and course curricula, but in terms of their values, missions and the goals as well. So diverse economic and academic institutions in the institutions as well as among the students also, teaching community may further lead to sense of inequality and deprivation. So with this diversity also, there is a feeling of inequality or deprivation, or exist or has emerged among the students, among the faculty, among the current generation of learners, as because the institutions vary in terms of quality, in terms of fees, in terms of research, in terms of brand name, in terms of the status, etc. So in our country we do not have any uniform curricula, pedagogy, nor any standard evaluation pattern for different degrees and so some same in different universities are offering the same degree in your technical courses, professional courses, management courses, humanities, social science courses, etc., but there is no parity, there is no uniformity in terms of curricula, nor pedagogy, nor any kind of standard evaluation. Some universities give the liberal marking, so the students they can easily get the good degree, good divisions and the ranks, etc., whereas some other universities are different. The scholars across the world have agreed that knowledge related to globalization involves both people and things. So definitely post globalization's knowledge industry relates to the both the quality, the course content, curricula as well as the people. But nowadays this business language has introduced the students as the customers and the parents and guardians as the stakeholders. So as the consumers we tend to pay more attention to the things. So all the private schools, private universities, institutions, they give more importance to the material things, okay, like in the facilities, labs, infrastructure, etc., instead of analyzing how these things are being utilized, or the quality of teaching, quality of teacher, quality of education materials, etc. So we give that means least importance and attention to this. So what is the higher education realities in India? India has the large higher education sector, that is, it is the third largest country in the world in terms of student numbers after China and USA. So definitely in India also the higher education enrollment has also increased a lot, and next is that English is the primary language in higher education and research. Yes, India educates approximately 10% of its youth in higher education in comparison to the older days, but however it is also much lower in international standard and compared to more than 15% in China. So even today also China in China gives enrollment to more than 15% of its youth in higher education in comparison to India, which only educates 10% of youth. So India's academic system has also unusually small high quality sector at the top of the pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, Indian education sector, higher education sector has a very small portion in the pyramid. So that is, this tiny top tier consists of only few IITs and ITs, or you can say ISC Bangalore, AIIMS, NISER, whatever or top higher education institutions are there. So these are that means very few, it can be easily counted, and very few top tier higher education institutions are there in the pyramid, which consists of a very tiny portion of the educational structure of the country, and hardly the private universities like some of the few reputed branded universities like BITS and TIFR, or some of the Amity schools, etc., are in the top ladder. So, in most of the central universities, even the quality of teaching and research are not up to that. Even though the central universities nowadays, number of central universities, central institutes have increased, even then the quality of the teaching and research are not up to the mark. And in most of the universities and the institutions and faculty, crunch is there, like the many of the faculty posts are lying vacant. Then the lab works are lab setups, lab works are incomplete. So, conditions of higher education in state university and institutes are of the lower quality, both academically and infrastructure. So, besides the central universities, most of the state universities also, the quality of higher education is very poor, very low in terms of academic quality, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of manpower, in terms of placements as well. So, long standing vacant teaching post, rise of the part time teachers, contractual teachers, more and more state universities are adhering to these contractual lectures teachers, lack of research incentives, then again resulted in the low level of motivation, dedication and accountability among the teachers. So, these are the this resource crunch, these financial setbacks, it has demotivated the faculty and the teachers, teaching community for not doing so, then for not getting proper incentive for the research, and also in case of the teachers as well as the poor quality of students who could not succeed in the job market. So, neither the quality of teaching, nor the infrastructure, nor good incentives for the research, nor the students standards are also up to the mark to get enrolled in the job market or to get the good jobs. So, excluding some of the IITs and the NITs, etc., students and others have the few takers in the employment world because of the poor quality, lack of 21st century generic skills, professional knowledge, competence, etc. So, there are very few takers in the job market. Around 86% of the good science and technology graduates from IITs move abroad. Moreover, from the top ranked institutes, around 86% students, they move abroad for the higher studies and get settled there. Now, recently the situation has become a little bit different because of the other countries, their visa policies and the foreign policy, etc. And whoever remains approximately 30% get into the MBA program. So, even though the students are from the technical background, engineers, etc., but ultimately after graduation they get admission into the MBA program. So, more than 30% students get into the MBA program because it can easily give them the higher pay package and administrative post, and leaving out the domain knowledge in science and technology unutilized for the country, for the benefit of the country, for the benefit of the society. So, we do not have the independent research policy for the higher education institutions. So, as we have many central university, many state universities, many autonomous bodies, many deemed university, and they are doing their own research. So, we do not have any uniform research policy like that. The government has not prescribed that these should be the research areas where all the academic institutions, at least centrally funded institutions, should do research which can ultimately benefit the society. We do not have that kind of research policy, hence we do not get the benefit out of that research findings, and all these research, mostly the research findings do not get translated or applied into the social benefit. And moreover, other new challenges like the political pressure, reservation of quota, etc., further deteriorated the quality of education in the colleges and the universities. Now, state governments are also overburdened with the financial crisis. They could not properly fund for the good infrastructure and for the infrastructure for the research and the teachers' salary in the state universities, in the state colleges, colleges as well. So, moreover, so that is why the underdeveloped, that means under investment, backdated curricula, stagnation, etc., have become the feature of the maximum universities, producing only the mediocre graduates. So, even though in terms of number we are very large, and large number of universities, schools, colleges, this and that, but in terms of the quality, in terms of the quality we are very poor, hence we are producing only the mediocre graduates, mediocre postgraduates, because we have a very less top tier education institutions, from which whatever we could produce in terms of good quality quality students, they are going abroad and get settled there. But whereas in other universities and the large number of universities and colleges, whatever we are producing, these are all mostly mediocre students and the postgraduates. So, some of the private universities prepare the good quality students, but mostly in management and humanities subject, not enough in science and technology. So, the mushrooming engineering colleges, the science and technology subjects, the subjects have been open, but the quality of students are very poor. Whereas some of the top universities, they produce good students, but primarily in management and humanities area. We do not have the world class university like Oxford, Cambridge or Stanford, Harvard, etc. We do not have the world class universities. Of late we have started this Nalanda University. I do not know what would be the future of this kind of. So, we do not have world class universities. Severe shortage of the good quality teachers at higher education level. The huge shortage of the good quality teachers, because of these poor incentives in research, poor infrastructure, poor salary, irregular salary, etc., etc. in some of the state colleges and universities. So, people are not being very much interested to get into this profession. So, we are not getting the good quality teachers at higher education level. The teachers' salaries are not uniform again. Moreover, even though the pay commissions have been announced this and that, but the state governments, they are not being able to give the equal pay at par with the central government pay packages to all the teachers, state government teachers and the college teachers. So, these are also not uniform. That is also another demotivating factors. And to our further dismay, in Asia, China is investing heavily in making the world class university in this research lab, whereas even though we have the demographic dividend of the youth, the largest number of percentage of the youth and young generation, but China is investing more on its higher education, academics and the research labs than us. Taiwan has become the major designer of the IT hardware and is also considering for the Asian MITs. So Taiwan is planning for an Asian MIT by merging some of its top technological universities. And moreover, the regional preferences, religious bias are also further impediments in admission and appointments. Also, not only we are facing the challenges like the disparity, diversity, lack of uniformity, lack of quality, these are the issues, but regional preferences, then regional bias, the further impediments and in getting the admissions and the appointments also. Very few national level tests for setting the selection criteria for admission and the jobs. For for nowadays we are just introducing some of the entrance national level entrance tests for different professional courses for the students, like for engineering, medical or law, etc. But for getting into the jobs, we do not have the national level aptitude tests for the teachers, or for any sort of selection criteria for teaching jobs at the national level. Hence, we need to have the certain reforms in our education system. So, the reforms are badly needed at the present situation. Reforms are so what are these reforms? A combination of specific conditions and the resources are needed to create outstanding universities. So, we have to focus on different kinds of reforms, and these reforms are to be a combination of different kinds of resources and specific conditions. The first thing is that sustain financial support with the approximate mix of accountability and autonomy. So, as we are badly in need of financial support, a sustained continuous financial support is required, but at the same time it should be properly mixed with accountability and autonomy, as autonomy is required for the education institution to govern its own people, its own staff, but at the same time accountability to the society, accountability to the government should also be there, because educational institutions, we are accountable to the society, to the public, because it is a public investment, it is a public venture. Second is that the development of a clearly differentiated academic system, including the private institutions, in which the academic institutions have different missions and resources and the purposes. So, when we need to develop clearly different academic systems for the school education, for the higher education, technical education, professional education, and we have to specifically mention the criteria for the private institution as well. So, in terms of the reasons, the resources and the purposes, etc., we have to clearly differentiate these academic systems. Then managerial reforms and the introduction to effective administration. So, again educational management has become a important factor here. How to manage the educational institutions is not an easy task to run the educational institutions academic issues. So, managerial reform is also very much necessary, is very much required, because now we can also see that some of the private universities, private academic institutions are running very well, very effectively with brand value, with the quality, etc. But at the same time, some of the government central university, government institutions are not performing well, or not are functioning well. So, we need to bring some managerial reform also in its modus operandi, in its functions, etc. And we have to introduce effective administration. For that matter, all kinds of administrators at different levels, starting from the department to institution to manager, all at all levels, all the administration, they need to go through the thorough training from time to time to be the academic leaders, to run the institution as effective administrator. Similarly, truly meritocratic hiring and promotion policies should be introduced for the academic profession. That means, hiring on the basis of merit and the clearly specified promotion policies. Similarly, honest recruitment, rigorous selection process, proper instruction to students. This would be also be introduced in the educational management. So, India will need to create a dozen of more universities. Moreover, as because we have a very tiny layer of top universities or top higher education institutions, we need to create a dozen of more universities. Of recently, even though we have many more central universities have been introduced, and many more IIMs, many more IITs, etc. there, but we do not have the qualified people, teachers, resources to fill up those vacancies. So, we not only need to create dozen of university science and technology research institutes, we have to promote the teacher education also, prepare the qualified teachers and encourage the higher potential candidates, or the individuals, or the top layer or creamy layer of the academic institutions to go for the teaching professions, and then only we can compete internationally with other countries in the world economy. So, not only to introduce the many more top institutions and the research institutions, but we need to have academia industry interface, research applied research. We have to focus more on the applied research, and again at the same time we have to prepare a lot of teachers, professional teachers, educators, management leaders, then administrators to run our higher academic institutions. Next class we will discuss about the other things.